Hi and welcome to Polly Puts Colour On. Thank you for joining me today. So in this video I'm going to be sharing with you my new acrylic paints. Now before this I've only actually had different acrylic markers. I've had like the fine kind of bullet tip ones as well as the brush nib. I've never actually had just kind of loose acrylic paint that you need to use a paintbrush for. I think I must have mentioned it either in live stream or one of my videos, and when my husband was editing he noticed, remembered, and then for my birthday, bless him, he bought me these. Now they're only cheap off temu because he was like, well, obviously there's no point getting anything too expensive because no idea whether I'm going to get on with them or not, if it's something I'm going to like using. I do like using watercolor paints on my pages, but obviously they're not quite as you add a little bit of water, you use a brush, whereas these I think I'm just a bit worried that I'm going to make a massive mess with them. So I thought I'll open them up and show you them, then I will swatch them with you as well, and then maybe use one or two colours on a page. So I'd been thinking about getting these for so that I could use them kind of on backgrounds on pages, which is what I've been using some of my marker pens for. But then obviously if you're needing to a massive area, it's still a bit hard to do with a pen, isn't it? And it would be easier to do with a paintbrush. So we've got this little set here that's got 8 colours. It says that they will glow in the dark and fluoresce in the daylight. I mean, it's probably not that much use, to be honest, in a colouring book, but depending what you're going to use them for, that's quite useful. So there is a little leaflet there about them, so that's kind of what it would look like in the day, what it would look like at night. And there they are. So you see these are very, very bright. But these could be very cool depending on what kind of a background I was doing. If I really wanted a pop of colour, this could be quite cool. So we'll swatch those in a little bit. And then we've got another smaller set here. So these I say they come with brushes. I mean, they're not exactly the best brush, are they? They're like little kids' brushes, but they might be useful for maybe mixing them up. So these ones are all metallic ones, and does it say the mill on them? So the date of manufacture. I don't think it says what millage these are, but oh no, it does. There we are, 20mm right in the front. So they're not the smallest, but they're also not the biggest. But I think for backgrounds on a page, these will still last me absolutely ages. And then it'll obviously give me an idea on if I like using acrylic paints, and if I do, perhaps I could get some bigger bottles of kind of the more premium brands. But when I don't know whether I'm going to use them, then my husband was very sensible to get me kind of a variety of different colours for having a little go with. So then this is a 30 pack because it's got 24 colours and 6 paintbrushes. So let's see what the paintbrushes are like in this set. So again, it's got a bit of a leaflet in there about the colour wheel and about mixing the different colours, and a little bit about how to use them. And then it has got the brushes. Now these are definitely better brushes than in the other set. It looks like 2 identical packs of 3. So let me get them out of the packets so that you can see the size of them a bit better. So there's kind of a flatter one and then 2 finer ones. They don't feel, they feel very cheap on the handles. Bristles don't feel too bad though. It doesn't feel as if they're going to fall out straight away. It would be nice to be able to keep some brushes separate from the ones that I use for my watercolour. So I will give these a try actually when I use the paints to see how well they work. And there we can see quite a good selection of colours. Didn't realise, to be honest, that I've obviously been storing these lying down because I thought these were like in the other set and they were stood up. Obviously they're not, they're lying down, which is actually useful for being able to see them all. So when I put these back away on my shelf, I think I need to make sure that I store them standing up just in case there's any leaks. But we see there's quite a nice selection of colours there, some lighter ones. That's a really pretty colour, isn't it, there, as well as having a black and a white. So if I did want to try and do any mixing, which I don't think I will yet, but maybe if I feel a bit more confident, that could be useful for maybe making like a lighter green or something at some point. Yeah, it's quite a nice selection of colours there. Now I will do the swatching on camera with you, however I don't want to do it because I've got a funny feeling I might end up making a bit of a mess. Don't know how well the lid's going to come off. Don't want to get my nice new desk mat messy. So let me go and find my old one, pop on, and then we can do the swatching together. So I've changed my desk mat back to my old one, and I've zoomed you in a little bit closer as well. So I'll start with this smaller set first of the neons. Now I'm not going to bother swatching the white because I don't think there's that much point in that. So let's unscrew the yellow. I won't do it over the swatch just in case it goes everywhere. Ooh, I don't think it needs shaking or anything already. I did give them all a little shake earlier, so I think that's still doing okay. So I will use this brush out of the other set that I had. I've got some water and paper off to the side for cleaning the brush. So I'm only going to use a little bit because I just want to obviously swatch and get used to it. I think the hard thing for me to get used to applying acrylic paints is going to be how to get a nice smooth finish. Now this card I'm swatching on is very shiny, like it's not got a coating or anything on, but it's very smooth, I should say, not shiny. So I'm probably not going to be able to get like the smoothest finish on it, but there's the yellow. Don't, oh, we'll see. I'll show you what they look like once they're dry as well, because they're obviously going to, I guess, dry a different colour than how they go on wax. That's normally the case, isn't it, with things? So let's get a bit of, not too much, there we are. A little bit of the orange. Now, obviously I've not got anything to compare this against because, like I say, I've not used acrylic paints before, so I don't know in terms of, you know, saying about the consistency compared to anything else, but it feels quite nice to use. Obviously, if I wanted a bit more of a darker or more solid finish, I could do a darker coat. So let's have a look what this pink's like. Let's make sure my brush is clean again. Here we go. So pop some of the pink on. You see these being quite nice maybe in some of the cute and cozy books if I'm wanting something really bright finish, perhaps it might be cool to use. I know I've got a Stitch colouring book that's double-sided. It's got all quotes on that I had been thinking, oh, I'll probably need to you know, do something to cover up the, because it's not quotes from the film, it's just like well-being kind of suggestions, and it just, to me, it just kind of ruins the artwork of the pages. So I think, does it have a name on? Yeah, fluorescent magenta. I thought this was a neon, kind of more neon red, neon pinkish colour, more than that other one. So that's a nice colour. So if anybody's got any you know, hints or tips about using acrylic paints, you know, caring for your brushes, just anything at all, because like I say, complete and utter novice when it comes to using acrylic paints. I've literally only used them from, you know, the paints, you know, the paint pens and marker pens before, so it's completely new to me on how to get a nice finish. Obviously on this card I can tell I'm going to struggle to get a nice finish anyway because of the lack of texture on it. But I guess if I was to go in with another layer, I imagine that would probably smooth it out anyway, wouldn't it? So now we've got the nice bright blue. that spread out a bit. And then let's get the green. So the lids do feel like they're screwing on quite well. They've certainly not leaked in the box, you know, while they were being shipped to me. So that is obviously a good sign. So let's do the green. There we go. So let's put that brush to clean. I'm guessing also as well, to try and get a smooth finish, what kind of paintbrush you use is probably going to potentially make a difference, is it? I don't know. Drop me comments below, suggest channels that, you know, show you how to use acrylic paints, but like in colouring books. I don't want to become like an acrylic painter or anything, but they're quite pretty colours. So I'll move those to one side so that they can dry. And let's start to swatch the other smaller set. So that was these ones. These did come with these little brushes. So let's see, have they got a... No, they've not got like a plastic cap. That's what I wasn't sure of. If they'd got like a seal on the bottle, I might not have swatched them all till I wanted to use them, but there isn't a seal on them. Although they, you know, they're nice and wet. Doesn't look like they've dried out. There's not been any leaks or anything. So I'll give these little dinky brushes a go just for the purposes of swatching. I think they'll probably be absolutely fine, and I'll take a bit of the paint out of the lid as well, because I don't want to swatch a huge amount. Just need enough to get an idea. So straight away I tell these are a lot thicker consistency, and it's going on a lot more opaque than those neon fluorescent ones. So here we've got a dark kind of metallic. That was interesting. The other one, I'm guessing the seal had already popped off then. Must have been stuck on the inside of the lid, whereas this one, I'm trying to not get paint everywhere. Here we are. So I might try and poke that like the other one. I'll stick it on the top of the lid. So actually it must have come off the other one then during transit, because I definitely haven't unpeeled any of them. So that's interesting that lid had come off, but obviously it hadn't dried out or anything, so it's obviously not the end of the world that seal had come off, although I guess it does leave the potential for some time, you know, if that had happened to you, potentially it could have dried out during transit, and I must have been quite lucky there. So that's a lovely dark blue. That'd be nice for like a night sky, wouldn't it? And I can see straight away it is, again, an awful lot easier to try and get a nice finish on there. Need to get some fresh water in a minute. So I've got quite a lot to swatch still. Here we are. So we've got, again, this one has got the seal still on. So again, I'm going to pop it. Try not get it all over my fingers. Glad I changed my desk mat over just in case. There we are. So I'll just use that. I'm not really bothered if I damage the brush, because I don't think I'll be using these brushes to actually paint within my books, but for just swatching them, it'll be fine. So that one, does it say a colour on it? Doesn't seem to say a colour on the bottle on these ones. Just have a double check. Date of manufacture, shelf life 3 years, metallic paint. Do not eat, keep out of reach of children. Yeah, there's no actual colour name on there, but I'll probably keep the swatches with the paints, so then it'll be obvious which swatch goes with which paint anyway. Oh, I suppose you could put these lids in the bin, but I just feel like it's going to make my bin all covered in paint. I'd rather just stick them on the inside of the lid out the way. There we go. So we should have given this one a bit more of a shake. Right. Oh, that's a pretty purple colour. It's a bit like kind of the Cadbury sort of purple, isn't it? Right. Let's see what's next. Looks like this is going to be like a gold colour. And it has got the lid. Oh, right. That definitely needs a good shake. I can't think whose channel it was. I watched their haul, I think, last night. Oh, there we are. The lid's come off. Or had I already loosened it? I may have already loosened it. I can't remember now. But they said they buy ball bearings and then they pop one ball bearing into their paint bottle so that it's easier to shake up their acrylic paint, which I thought was a genius idea. I'm not sure whether I'll bother with that just yet. I think especially if I buy any more expensive acrylic paints at any point, or I do find that I'm struggling to mix up these little ones, then that's something I'll definitely bear in mind because that could be really useful. It's got a nice blue here. Let's give it a little shake. And get the little lid off. Oh, that's a pretty colour, isn't it? Right. Try and not get myself covered. There we are. So I'll finish this line off with this blue. It's pretty. So you can already see those look as if they're about dry now. It's like quite a bright green. Let's give that a shake and check what this looks like. Oh, yeah, that is a very bright green. Got it all on my finger. Right. Oh. Ah, right, okay. That one might just have to live. Yeah, that one's going to have to just live. Oh no, it's flipped itself. Oh, you can see I'm recording this live. You can see all my mishaps as I go. I'll take a bit of paint off the lid for this one. So that's quite a pretty, it's not kind of too bright, but it is, or at least at the minute, it's quite bright. So it might lighten up a little bit as it dries perhaps, or darken up, we'll see. So this looks like it might be like a bronze colour. So let's pop this off. Yeah, looks like quite a pretty bronze. So just push that in. Here we are. Take a little bit, and yep, pretty bronze colour. So that's nice. We've got gold and bronze. So it'd be nice to hear from you. How do you use your acrylic paints as well? Is it just for backgrounds, or do you use them for painting kind of particular elements on the page? It's a pretty colour. It'd be nice to hear from you so I can get some ideas on how to start using these paints. Ah, see, that one I hadn't took the lid off, and that one has already come off, but the paint doesn't look like it's dried or anything. So let's try that. Oh, that's a pretty colour. I have no idea where I would use it, but that is a lovely colour. That's very pretty. So we've nearly finished swatching this set now. I've got, what, 3 more on this set. So this looks like a light rose gold kind of colour maybe. So lid does need taking off. that one. So, sorry, just making sure I've got a clean brush. So definitely wouldn't be using these brushes for painting in my books, but in terms of swatching, these are doing the trick, aren't they? So that's pretty. This one looks like, I want to decide whether this is orange or red. I think it's more of an orange because I think the last one's more of a red colour, but let's see. The seal's still on that one. And I've been swatching paints. I'm already covered in paint, even though I've been trying to be really careful. There we go. So I'll see if I was using these in my books. I'd definitely make sure that I put my old desk mat down just in case. I don't want to take any chances. Here we are. And then, yes, reddish. Doesn't look like it's super red. At least not from the outside. Let's see how red it looks on the. I think it's more of a pink colour actually, isn't it? Let's see. A little bit of this one. Maybe a tad more. Oh gosh. Nearly knocked that over. That was a good save. Right, there we are. That'll do on that one. So there we can see, obviously some of them are still wet. There's some really pretty metallic colours there. See that dark blue being really good on like night sky pages. They're really pretty. Those are the ones dried. Yeah, they've dried. They're obviously a lot thinner, although whether that was how I was applying it potentially. But they are pretty colours if you're wanting some neons. So there we've got those. So I'm going to go get some fresh water and then I'll be back with you to swatch the last sets. Right, so I've got fresh water. Make sure my brushes are clean. Let's have a look at doing this set. So I'll have to actually move the box up out the way so that I can get my card in shot. So I've got the red first. So let's see if these have a seal on or not. They don't, which actually I think is for me more use because that's where I seem to get myself absolutely covered in paint, was when I was having to try and take the little seals off. So I'm not too bothered about them not having the seal on, as long as the paints aren't dried out, which they don't seem to be. So that's good. So we've got a nice bold red there. It could be cool on like a Halloween page maybe. Nice orange. Let's get the brush. Again, I'll take a bit of paint out of the lid. So I've just given it a shake, so I'm not bothered about getting brush strokes on it too much, so long as it's giving me an idea of the colours. So I do like to have most things swatched out so that I do know what I'm working with. I know not everybody does. And for certain things, I don't always, like I have them swatched, but sometimes I don't actually look at the swatches. I'll just look and go, yeah, that'll do. And pick, I've got some pots of pencils on my desk that are like old ones that I use for like shading over the top of alcohol markers. So I'm not too worried about getting like an exact colour. It's just I want a dark green to shade over the top, or a blue to shade over the top, or whatever. So certain things I don't like to have swatches, but I think especially for paints where it could be quite a big area you're doing on a page, I definitely want to know what colours going on my page so that I don't accidentally ruin especially if I'm doing it on a background, because usually I tend to do my background last. I know some people like to do it first to get it out of the way. I tend to do it last because I don't always have a vision for a page. You know, I just kind of start and see where things take me. So it'd be a bit hard to do a background to start with not having that much of a plan for the page. So yeah, that's kind of why I tend to do backgrounds last. So if I've put a lot of effort doing a page and a lot of time in, I don't want it to go completely wrong when it comes to, you know, potentially adding some paint on. It's a pretty colour. So definitely got a nice selection here. Lid definitely, yeah, that lid's definitely on. So I think I'm going to make sure I stand this set up. I'd not kind of realised when I put them away that they were lying down, and obviously there's the chance they might leak in that case. So here's the pink. It's quite pretty. And then it looks like the next one is a silver, I think. So these ones do have colour names on. I don't think I'm going to bother writing them onto the swatch because I'll keep the bottles in this order. Yes, the rows that I'm painting don't quite match up, but they're not going to be far off. And I'm going to easily be able to tell which one's which. Now the silver definitely seems to be a little bit runnier, I'd say, than the other ones I've had so far. Which might, oh gosh, right. There we go. So I've already got loads on my fingers. I suppose it just wears off, doesn't it? Keep washing my hands and it will just wear off as well, won't it? This one is called Flesh Tints. So it'll be interesting to see what this actually comes out like once it's dry. Can't see me actually using it for colouring a person. There we are, ochre. So this looks like quite a deep colour. There we go. I know there's all sorts of different acrylics, isn't there? The ones that you can get that have got like bits of glitter and sparkle in. I've seen a lot of people using on their backgrounds, but like I say, I've just been a bit too nervous about just making a mess, really. Now I don't think I'm going to bother swatching the whites because I can't see me using the white, to be honest, not unless I'm using it to mix in with another colour. I'm not going to just put white on a page because, you know, it's, unless I was trying to, you know, cover up a mistake or something, and then I might do, but I'm not going to be bothered about what colour white it is, I don't imagine. If I change my mind later, I can always come back in and swatch it, but I'd rather just try and crack on and get the rest done. So this says sky blue. These brushes aren't bad for swatching with, they're just a bit awkward to hold with them being really short. But at least it's saving me ruining any of my nice paint brushes with acrylic paint. So go rose red. Now, I'm assuming the different stars and things on it must be to do, I guess, with the opacity of them. I don't imagine it's the colour, you know, the light fastness. I imagine it's to do with how opaque they are, I would guess. They all seem to have 2 stars on. Oh no, they don't. That one's got 3 stars. So some seem to have 3 stars, some have got 2. And then they've got like a circle at the bottom. and some are half filled and some are completely filled, so I might need to look through that leaflet in a minute, see if that gives me a clue on what that actually means. I would guess, like I say, I'm guessing it's to do with the opacity of it, because I really don't think it'll be a light fast rating on the budget paints like these. So this says pale blue. Okay, that's quite nice. So certainly between all the metallics and these and those kind of neon and fluorescent, definitely got a good variety to choose from. So this one's light yellow. And say none of them, even though they've not got the seal cap on these ones, none of them seem at all to be kind of dried out at all. So that is definitely a nice light yellow colour. So that's the next one. Light blue, so that's interesting. We've got sky blue, pale blue and light blue, even though this doesn't actually look all that light, does it? To me, light blue and pale blue, pale and light kind of means about the same thing. So see what difference this is. See, this actually looks quite dark, doesn't it? It's sometimes people coming up with the names for paints and pencils is always quite interesting, isn't it? Because the names don't always quite go with what they are. So this is cream coloured colour creamer. So cream coloured. Let's see how cream it is. Nice colour. It could be useful for like painting trees or something, possibly. I don't. Depends how it dries, I suppose, doesn't it? This is a pretty colour, jade green. So right, let's try and move it up a little bit. There we go. Like I say, I thought once I've finished swatching them, might see if there's a colour that might work on a page, and then I can actually have a go at applying it to a page. But it will be a page, it'll be like unusual for me. I'll actually be doing the background first and just hoping that it doesn't go wrong. I'll have a bit of a job to cover it up, but hopefully it works. And if not, you know, I've brought you along for the journey. You can learn what not to do with me, because sometimes that's useful, isn't it? Seeing what not to do rather than just seeing how it's actually meant to be done. Now the black is next, so I'm going to leave a gap for the black and I'll come back to that one. So obviously it's going to make my water's kind of just about hanging on. I think I'll need to change it again in a second, but I'll try and swatch these other two, then the black, and then I'll change the water before I start working on a page. So that's quite a nice colour. Obviously I've got an awful lot of brush strokes showing on this because I'm using those terrible cheap brushes, I guess, but for the swatches it's fine. So we've got a gold here. Obviously there was a gold in the metallic set as well, and a bit like the silver that was earlier on in this set, the gold's quite runny as well compared to all the others, whereas the gold and the metallic set was really quite nice and thick, not like too thick, but a nice thickness. So I don't know if that silver and gold is quite as good quality as the others. So let's do the black and we can actually see how opaque this is. Oh wow, that's nice. There we go. So I know there's been some pages where I have used black acrylic markers, but I've only got I've not got particularly thick ones. just taken me absolutely ages to black the background out, although it was worth it because, you know, that was the effect that was after. So that'll be really nice to actually have a black. I can't see any information on this about the star rating or anything on the you know, that's mentioned on the jars. Let's see, does it say on the back? No, that's a bit weird. It doesn't say on the back either, although it's got, well, it's got them on each, but it doesn't actually explain what they mean. So yeah, I'm guessing it must be to do with the opacity. So there we can see those colours. See, have the other, so the neon and the fluorescent ones definitely dried because they were first. These I think are about not quite dry, but they're almost dry. So you can see there what I mean about the gold. It's a lot thicker on that. Well, there wasn't a silver in this set, actually, thinking about it now. Whereas the gold and the silver in this set, definitely not quite as nice to use as all the others. Although I suppose if I watered them down a bit more and used them over the top of something, that might give a cool effect. So I've definitely got a nice range of colours here with these. So let me go away, get some clean paint, and then have a clean paint, clean water even, and then have a think what page I could have a little play on with you. Right, so I'm back. I've got clean water. I've had a think about what page I'm going to work on and what colours I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this blue. Had thought about trying to, like, you know, do a blend or something, but I don't think I feel brave enough to try that today. So I've got this page from Magical Jungle by Johanna Basford that is a buddy colour. So it is one that I do want to make sure I work on, and I've done these videos with my these leaves in a video about my new black edition pencils. So I thought I may as well carry on getting a little bit done on this page. So I thought the bit kind of is obviously this central circle. Want the toucan to be kind of chicken coloured, so obviously they need some black feathers. So I didn't want anything too dark, but I didn't want anything too light because I just want to make sure he kind of shows up with, might use some yellow on the beak. So I thought if I just go for blue for the sky, it's not that creative, but you know, it will be useful for me to try. So it's the pale blue from that big last set that I tried. So I'm going to try with just one of these cheap brushes that came out of that set as well, and just wish me luck. So I have got some finer brushes as well, obviously for some of the fiddly details, but here we go. I'm really hoping this doesn't go disastrously wrong, else I might be having to work something out. So straight away I can see it's going on quite nicely. I'm not getting too many brush marks. Obviously I'm not putting a massively thick layer on because I don't want to end up with big blobs, but it is going on really quite nicely. I'm just having to be really steady. So what I might do is I might stop talking while I'm doing this, and then I could speed it up to some music. So I'll come back in at the end. So there we have it. I think I've about finished. It is a little bit patchy. That could be to do with the paint not being the most expensive, but I would say it's probably going to be more to do with the fact that this is the first time I've ever actually painted an acrylic background. So I think for a first attempt, quite pleased. It obviously hasn't gone through to the other side with it being acrylic. Was a little bit hard doing this little fiddly bit around here, and kind of in some of the other little bits. So when I do come in to finally colour this page, I'll probably neaten up some of those bits either with pencil or maybe with some of my acrylic markers. And I'll maybe try and see if I can shade over the top of the paints as well with pencils, and then that'll help as well with the slight patchiness to the background, or maybe I could add some chalk pastel or something over the top. I don't know. I'll experiment when I get to colouring with it. But in terms of the actual colour I've picked, I'm really happy with that. I think this is going to look a really nice bright summery page. So thank you for coming along with me while I get these swatched. Just bring those back in again for you. So we see that was that big set, which this paint was out of. And then we've got the other two smaller sets. Like I said, they were all off temu. I think out of all of them, these are probably the worst quality. Although I suppose if I did a few layers, they would probably come out better. These are really gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to trying these on a page as well at some point. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Like I say, drop me a comment down below. What's your favourite way of using acrylic paints? Is there any channels or particular videos that you can recommend for using acrylic paints in your adult colouring books? Obviously, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I'm already way ahead of where I ever thought I would be. I mean, I was hoping to get 50 by the end of June, and obviously I've surpassed that. So if you would consider subscribing, it would mean an awful lot to me. Obviously click like, and like I say, I'll link anything that I can in all my videos where possible. So thank you for watching. Take care everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.